Some men walk into a woman's life and disappear like they were never there. And then there are the rare ones. The men she remembers years later, even when the relationship ended, even when life moved on, even when she swears she's forgotten everything. Why? Because these men imprint something deeper than charm, looks, or clever lines. They leave a feeling, the kind that lingers quietly, like a shadow that never quite fades. These are the men who stay centered when others break, who move with purpose while others chase approval, who carry a calm presence in a world addicted to noise. But here's the truth most guys never realize. A woman never remembers the man who tried to impress her. She remembers the man who didn't need to. Today, we are re-breaking down the 6 Stoic qualities that make a man unforgettable, the traits that speak louder than words and leave a mark she cannot erase, even if she wants to. If you're ready to step into a stronger, calmer, more grounded version of yourself, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more videos on Stoicism, self-mastery, and modern masculine strength. And share this with someone who needs a reminder of their potential. Alright, let's dive in. Emotional control is one of those traits people talk about casually, yet very few ever master. And ironically, it's the one thing that quietly separates forgettable men from the men who leave a lasting mark on a woman's memory. Because when you strip away attraction, charm, and first impressions, what truly stays is how a man handles himself when life stops being smooth. Women observe this more deeply than most men realize, not because they're judging, but because emotional stability tells them who you truly are beneath the surface. Anyone can seem confident when everything is easy, but the moment tension shows up, when you're frustrated, disrespected, confused, or triggered, that's when your emotional discipline speaks for you. Most men don't even notice how quickly they give away their power. One sharp tone from her, and they snap back. One disagreement, and they rush to defend their ego. One moment of discomfort, and they collapse into over-explaining or trying to negotiate their worth. But a Stoic man, a grounded man, moves on a different frequency. He doesn't silence his emotions, he studies them. He doesn't suppress his reactions, he chooses them. He doesn't fear conflict, he manages himself through it. Picture this. A woman challenges you, not maliciously, but because she wants to see what you're made of. Maybe she throws a small test your way, a sarcastic remark, a little attitude, a moment of distance. Most men panic. They feel the fear of rejection tighten around their ego, and before they know it, they're reacting from insecurity rather than intention. But the man with emotional mastery, he takes a slow breath. He keeps his tone steady. He stays grounded, unshaken, unwilling to let a single moment rewrite his entire identity. That alone sets him apart, because emotional control isn't just about self-restraint, it communicates strength, maturity, and inner structure. It tells her, I am not here to be tossed around by emotions, mine or yours. And that creates something powerful, safety. Not the superficial kind, not the protector stereotype, but emotional safety, the type that tells her she doesn't need to walk on eggshells around you. She doesn't need to worry about sudden explosions, mood swings, or defensive spirals. She realizes your presence brings stability, not chaos. And once she connects your presence with peace, she never forgets it. A man who can stay calm in the middle of tension becomes a rare force in her memory. He becomes the calm in her storm, the steady voice in heated moments, the one who doesn't crumble when things get uncomfortable. And the truth is simple. A woman isn't drawn to a man because he feels nothing. She remembers him because he isn't ruled by everything he feels. A man capable of emotional mastery becomes unforgettable because his strength isn't loud. It's quiet, controlled, it's earned. And quiet strength is the kind that echoes longest. There's a reason a woman never forgets the man who truly listens. Not hears, listens. Because in a world where everyone is talking, performing, competing to be noticed, the man who offers quiet, attentive presence feels almost unreal. He stands out without trying, simply because he gives something rarer than compliments or charm. He gives his attention. Most men underestimate this. They think being memorable means being interesting, but very often, being unforgettable means being interested. When a woman speaks, she's not just sharing information. She's revealing emotions, fears, hopes, and subtle truths hidden between her words. And she notices instantly whether a man is truly present or just waiting for his turn to talk. When he's distracted, when he interrupts, when he tries to fix her feelings before she even finishes expressing them, she feels unseen. But the Stoic man listens differently. He listens with his eyes, not just his ears. He listens without rushing to respond. He listens without turning the conversation into a performance. His stillness becomes a form of respect, a quiet way of saying, "Your inner world matters here." This presence leaves a deeper impression than any romantic gesture ever could. Think about why. Most men listen with an agenda, to impress, to win points, to look wise, to guide the conversation towards something they want. But a man with presence has no agenda. He's not performing. He's observing, absorbing, and understanding. His silence becomes warm rather than awkward. His attention becomes grounding rather than intense. And that makes a woman feel something very few men ever make her feel: safe to be herself. When she talks and he simply lets her unravel her thoughts without judgment or interruption, she feels her guard lowering. She finds herself sharing things she wouldn't normally reveal, not because he asked, but because being heard feels natural around him. This is where connection begins, not through passion, not through physical attraction, through emotional clarity. When a woman feels truly understood, she bonds, and when she bonds, she remembers. This is the secret ancient philosophers understood long before modern psychology reinforced it. People remember the ones who make them feel seen. Listening with presence also communicates something subtle yet powerful. You're not driven by ego. You don't need to dominate a conversation. You don't need to prove your intelligence. You don't need to fight for approval. Your calm attention says, "I am enough as I am." And ironically, that's what makes you more than enough in her eyes. Presence is rare. Stillness is rare. A man who can sit in silence without discomfort is rare, and rarity is unforgettable. She won't remember the specifics of every conversation you had, but she will never forget how you made her feel during those conversations. He heard me, he understood me, he made space for me. In a noisy world, the man who listens becomes the man she never forgets. There is a moment in every connection, every relationship, every almost relation, where a man's true character is revealed. It's not in how he begins, not in how charming he is, not in how deeply he feels. It's in how he ends things, or how he handles someone else ending it. And this, more than almost anything, is what stays in a woman's memory. Most men fall apart when faced with rejection or detachment. They beg for explanations. They argue to defend their ego. They scramble to fix something that's already slipping away. They try to hold on because letting go feels like losing control. But a Stoic man understands something deeper. You never lose what was never yours to control. So instead of clinging, he stands still. Instead of arguing, he accepts. Instead of chasing, he lets the moment breathe. And then he walks away with quiet dignity. This isn't coldness. This isn't pride. This is strength. Because walking away peacefully doesn't say, "I don't care." It says, "I care about myself enough not to collapse." A woman remembers this because it's rare. She expects resistance, drama, or emotional chaos. But when a man responds with grace instead of panic, the moment becomes unforgettable. Think about it. When you walk away calmly, without resentment or theatrics, she sees a man who isn't governed by ego, a man who doesn't need to win the breakup, a man who respects the outcome, even if it wasn't his choice. This level of emotional independence sends a powerful message. Your peace is self-sustaining. It doesn't depend on her validation, her attention, or her decisions. You don't crumble when someone steps out of your life. You continue forward with quiet confidence. And that, ironically, is often the exact moment she begins to question her choice. Not because you manipulated the situation, but because your reaction showed her something about you she didn't expect. She sees maturity. She sees discipline. She sees a man who belongs to himself. Walking away in peace also signals another profound truth. You're not afraid of being alone. You're not terrified of endings. You're not fighting reality. You're accepting it. This acceptance is a superpower. It frees you from emotional chaos. It keeps you centered, and it leaves a memory that lingers in her mind long after the moment passes. Because when she thinks back, she won't remember the exact conversation. She won't remember the details of the argument or the reason things ended, but she will remember the way you handled it. Calm, clear, centered, unshakable, and long after emotions settle and life moves on, that image stays with her. The man who didn't crumble, the man who didn't beg, the man who didn't chase, the man who chose dignity over desperation. A woman never forgets a man who walks away with peace. because peace, in that moment, is the loudest strength she ever witnessed. There's a quiet shift that happens the moment a woman realizes a man's life doesn't revolve around her, and surprisingly, it's not rejection she feels, it's respect, sometimes even admiration. Because in a world where many men lose themselves the moment a woman shows interest, the man who stays rooted in his mission becomes unmistakably different. His focus doesn't waver. His identity doesn't melt into the relationship. His purpose doesn't get traded for attention, and that makes him unforgettable. A mission-driven man carries a certain gravity. You can feel it in the way he wakes up with intention, the way he protects his time, the way he works toward something bigger than temporary comfort. His goals guide him more than emotions do. His long-term vision shapes him more than momentary desires, and a woman notices this quickly. She sees that you're not driven by validation. She sees that you don't abandon your commitments just because romance enters the picture. She sees that your path existed before her and will continue with or without her. This doesn't make her feel unimportant, it makes her feel secure, because purpose creates stability, and stability creates attraction. A man without direction becomes unpredictable, clingy, or overly focused on love as his only source of meaning. But a man with a mission, he has structure, he has standards, he has momentum, and that momentum is magnetic. Purpose gives your life depth. It makes your time more valuable. It makes your attention more meaningful. It makes your presence feel grounded rather than needy. And here's the subtle truth. A woman respects the no of a man who is building something. She respects when you choose discipline over distraction. She respects when you choose long-term vision over momentary pleasure. Because deep down, she knows this type of man is rare and getting rarer. Men who lack direction often place a woman at the center of their life. Their emotions fluctuate with her actions. Their self-worth rises and falls with her attention. They lose identity in the pursuit of being chosen. But the man with a mission, he is not led by uncertainty. He is not shaped by craving approval. He does not lose his edge just because someone likes him. He knows who he is and where he's going. And because of that, he becomes someone she wants to walk beside, not someone she has to carry. This is what makes a mission-driven man unforgettable. He makes her feel like she's entering the story of someone who already stands strong, not someone waiting to be saved, validated, or completed. She remembers the way he protected his goals. She remembers the way he stayed consistent under pressure. She remembers the way his life had meaning beyond romance. A woman never forgets the man who chooses purpose over attention, because that man becomes a force, not a follower. A leader, not a wanderer. A man of direction, not distraction. And direction is the kind of power that lingers in her memory long after everything else fades. There's a certain kind of man whose presence feels like stepping out of a storm and into a quiet room. He doesn't have to say much. He doesn't have to prove anything. Just being around him slows the world down. His energy is steady, grounded, composed, and in a world overflowing with noise, drama, pressure, and emotional turbulence. This kind of presence becomes unforgettable. Most people today carry chaos inside them. They rush, they react, they panic, they overthink, they bring emotional highs and lows everywhere they go. And many relationships fall apart, not because of a lack of love, but because both people are operating from a place of internal instability. But a man who carries calm doesn't get swallowed by the chaos of others. He becomes the anchor, the steady pulse in the room, the presence that brings everything and everyone back to center. A woman feels this instinctively. When she's anxious, he remains grounded. When she's overwhelmed, he brings clarity. When she spirals into worst-case scenarios, he brings perspective. When emotions run wild, he doesn't add fuel, he cools the fire. This doesn't mean he's emotionless. It means he's emotionally regulated, a distinction few men understand. Chaos is loud, calm is magnetic, and the man who offers a sense of peace becomes the one she can relax around without performing, without pretending, without hiding parts of herself. He becomes the person whose presence feels like a deep breath after holding it for too long. Why does this matter so much? Because people not forget where they found peace. They may forget where they felt excitement. They may forget who gave them butterflies, but they never forget who made them feel safe in their own skin. A calm presence creates emotional contrast. It stands out. It lingers. It rewrites the atmosphere of every moment shared. And it's not about being passive. It's not about being quiet all the time. It's not about avoiding conflict. True calm is rooted in control. The same control a master craftsman has over his tools. You control your tone, your reactions, your mindset, your energy. You don't let external drama dictate who you become. You don't let someone else's temporary storm pull you out of your center. This level of calm requires discipline. It requires awareness. It requires restraint. And that effort transforms you into a man who doesn't just enter a room, he changes the temperature of it. A woman remembers this because calm is rare. It's precious. It's difficult to find in a world full of emotional volatility. She might not remember every conversation you had, but she will always remember how she felt when she was next to you, when she could breathe, when she could soften, when she could let her guard drop without fear. A woman never forgets the man whose presence gave her peace, because peace is the kind of feeling that echoes long after the moment is gone. Silent forgiveness is one of the purest forms of strength a man can possess. Not the kind where you announce your maturity to the world, not the kind where you pretend you're over it while still carrying resentment, but the kind where you let go quietly, with no need for recognition, no desire for revenge, and no hunger to prove anything. It's the kind of forgiveness that isn't performed, it's lived. Most men misunderstand forgiveness. They think it means accepting disrespect, or letting someone off the hook, or acting like nothing happened. But true forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about your freedom. It's the moment you realize you no longer want to carry someone else's mistake on your back. You no longer want to replay the hurt in your mind. You no longer want to waste time trying to balance an imaginary scale of justice. A Stoic man understands this deeply. Every minute spent resenting someone is a minute he's not spending on his mission, his peace, or his growth. Resentment drains energy. Bitterness clouds judgment. Revenge ties your identity to the one who wronged you. But forgiveness, quiet internal forgiveness, releases you. A woman remembers this kind of man because he responds to betrayal, disrespect, or disappointment with something she rarely sees. Composure, not passive acceptance. But clarity, not emotional suppression, but emotional maturity. He doesn't spread rumors. He doesn't try to expose anyone. He doesn't launch into angry explanations. He simply steps back, lets the truth reveal itself with time, and moves forward. And here's the part that lingers in her memory. He chooses dignity over drama. Silent forgiveness sends a powerful message without saying a word. You no longer have access to my peace, and that quiet boundary echoes louder than any argument ever could. This kind of man is unforgettable because he refuses to live in the past. He refuses to let emotional poison stay in his system. He refuses to let someone else's actions change his character. Instead, he rises above, calmly, respectfully, silently. And something interesting happens when a woman looks back at a man like this. She remembers how he held himself. She remembers how he refused to be broken. She remembers how he didn't turn bitter or petty. She remembers how his strength was not loud, but deep. Silent forgiveness is a mark of inner mastery. It shows that your emotional world is governed by wisdom, not impulse, by intention, not reaction, by strength, not wounded pride. A woman never forgets a man like this because most men let anger reshape them. But he stayed him. Forgiveness doesn't mean he stayed. Forgiveness doesn't mean he accepted less. Forgiveness means he released what wasn't his to carry. And that is the kind of freedom that makes a man unforgettable long after the story ends.